Hey guys, welcome back to Kyle's Chainsaw Rescue. This is part 2 installing an Amazon motor in our Stihl MS-170. If you guys missed part 1, I'll try to have it popping up. If not, go watch part 1. We disassembled our Stihl MS-170. This thing had a jacked up motor. I ordered one off Amazon. I'll have links down below to the motor. Any other parts we decide to replace. I do have a bunch of Amazon parts that I'm putting on this thing. And links to tools that I'm going to use, same or similar. You guys buy through those links to help support the channel. Also, a big thanks. We just hit over 1,000 subscribers. So awesome to get there. Really do appreciate it, guys. Let's not waste too much time. Let's dive right into it because this is going to be a job today. So this is the motor we pulled out. Can't see a whole lot in there. Probably can't see a lot in here either. Anyway, it almost looks as though the ring got jacked up, fell down next to the piston, and just messed up the whole inside of this thing. So I'm going to put you guys right here, put you down, and let's start getting things prepped and getting this new motor and everything back together. Looking at the old motor, kind of walking you guys through it in case this is a job you want to do. I'm going to try to save these two pieces. See if we can get this plastic piece off here carefully. We don't want to break this. Okay, it is misshapen, so keep track of how that thing goes back on. Let's see if we can't get this guy off here. Now I've got that screwdriver. It's all rounded over, so it's not going to poke any holes. Shouldn't rip anything. All right, we are done with this block. This thing's done. Grab our new motor. And take this piece, line these holes up. Okie dokie. In the last video, I had mentioned I had to go get new screws, and I showed what they were at the end. These screws to fit the new motor, because the original Stihl screws, they're not gonna work. All right. Work that rubber gasket down through and out the hole on this side. It's tough doing this stuff with a camera right in front of my face. Oh, another way I've seen to do this, and actually I think the proper way, is to tie a piece of string around the end of this rubber piece and then just kind of pull it down through. There we go. Should be worked through all the way. Okay, if you're doing the same job. Should be no creases or crinkles. We're gonna flip this guy upside down. I do recommend though, if you're gonna get the motor, take it over to your local hardware store and match up your screws. Don't base it off the screws that I mentioned in the last video, because, you know, while you might get yourself a motor for less than 40 bucks, I don't think quality control is going to totally be there. So it might not have the same threads, 1, and 2. It might not even be the same motor off Amazon. So just keep that in mind. Put all 4 of these screws in here from the bottom. Putting the oil tank in place here. Flip it over. Got our little hose here. Gonna have to seat that down in. Use my modified rounded nose screwdriver to kind of tuck the corners in place here. And hopefully she runs well. Gas tank. Line. Boom. In. Look at this thing. Woohoo! She's coming together. I need to get one of those ultrasonic cleaners. That's what I need. I was looking at some. You can get some pretty cheap off Amazon, even Harbor Freight. I was just talking to a guy that's got an ultrasonic cleaner from Amazon. He said that thing works awesome. I really need to, I gotta check it out myself. Really need one. Alright, so got that guy on there. I'm gonna get this big washer. It says top. Next we'll grab our clutch. Now remember, this is counterclockwise to put this on. I'm not tightening it down all the way yet because we're gonna have to stop that piston in order to do so. Spin this guy. There is a groove in the shaft and you'll have a key spot. Should have a keyhole spot, not keyhole, but a key spot right there. It's square. Line those guys up. Woohoo! Grab your nut. Oh, that's loose. Not sure if I'm going to run their spark plug or not. Maybe we'll try it though, right? It came with it. We'll just see how it goes. Going to bust out my handy dandy rope. Get that. So what I'm doing is I'm watching the piston. I mentioned this in the last video. I'm waiting for it to come all the way up, keep spinning the same way, and you'll watch it go back down. Watch it come up, and right now you can see through the piston and out the exhaust port on the other side if you have this tilted just right. So you're looking through here. Watch your exhaust port get closed by the piston coming up. Come up a little bit higher. Stop. Feed your rope in. It's a good idea to have a clean rope. This one's getting a little grimy from used saws, but it's still good enough. If you're doing this, this is why it's a good idea to have a clean unit and not a bunch of debris here. You don't want to knock a bunch of stuff in here, okay, guys? I'm sure we'll have some guys that have been doing this longer than me comment on these videos, and I'm always all right with that, you know? Respectful comments, insight. That's all good stuff to learn from. I don't know everything. I already know this. People still love to tell me I don't know everything. Whatever. I like constructive, you know, comments though. People, hey, there's a better way to do that. Hey, try this, try that kind of stuff. I'm always down for those things. It's the obnoxious stuff that I don't have time for it. I don't have time for that. So you can use a socket and a wrench, or you can use your scrunch. It should be going counterclockwise here. A little bit easier once it's on by hand, I guess. Tightened. Now when you flip it over and you come over to the flywheel side, you will go clockwise to tighten that nut down. Good to go, at least it should be. And then I'm going to spin the flywheel counterclockwise just a little bit and work my rope out. Put my rope in its clean bag. Studs back in here. Slip our muffler on. The only thing I'm not putting on with this muffler is not putting a spark arrestor on here. Alright guys, so we just put the 4 screws in. I had to run over to the hardware store because I needed 2 more screws. They're the same thread pattern. I shared that in the last video, but here it is again. They are metric socket cap M5-.80 times 25. Now the ones to hold the motor in were 1 inch long, and I bought 3/4 inch for up here. 3/4 inch we're still bottoming out before everything was tight. So I just sanded off on the sander about, I don't know, four threads on the sander, 3/4 threads, make it just a touch shorter, and now I'm able to tighten everything down. So we are going to assemble that starter, get that on and in place, and then we'll go from there. So you're gonna need your starter coil, this yellow wire, and I've got myself this thin piece of aluminum, right? It's just like an aluminum scraper, and it's bent. Now you should have a spacer of some kind. Stihl actually makes one, so you can get the proper gap between the starting coil and the flywheel. What I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna use this, and we're gonna see if this will give us the proper gap and if this thing will run right. If not, we might have to bring it in the shop and make an adjustment there. This is kind of important. I have seen saws where people have done their own work and then the starting coil is too close. And what happens is the flywheel is smacking off that starting coil every time you go to start your unit. Ooh, put this one in a little too soon here. So basically the washers came off the original screws, putting them on the new screws. Gonna take my yellow wire here. Gotta ground that guy out in the top screw holding the starter in place. Let's put this thing in. Next up, let's just tackle the crappiest part. It was a tough pain in the butt getting this handle off. Let's tackle putting it on. It's so much fun. So it's tough to see. It'd be easier if you've come this far and you're able to look at the unit yourself to see what you're dealing with. You got 2 rubber grommets on the bottom of the saw that got to go, one in the hole here and one through the hole of the saw, and this other one up here at the top. When I undo these, I popped this one out, and that one out. And so I'm going to try to reassemble it in reverse. We're going to try to put this one in, and this one in. We'll see how it works out. Going to get my modified screwdriver that's all rounded over. Just trying to work that grommet in place here. Get it to just pop in a little bit. Yeah, we're gonna try to work with the top one next. At the same time, we're kind of doing both. At the bottom here, I can see that grommet lined up, not quite lined up, so I just use the screwdriver to pop that in here. Lines the top. Now they're not fully in place, so now it's kind of like squeezing the motor to the handle and trying to work that in. I'm sure somebody's got a better way to do this. If so, and you've done these a bunch of times, please comment. Especially with taking it apart. It's such a pain in the butt. Getting it in though, that just popped in. Sure, if you did like a little bit of grease around the rubber here, it'll pop in easier. Probably make it easier to pull apart next time if need be. There. In place, not yet. In place. Everything's there. The black wire, there is a small hole here right across from the gas line. I'm going to fish that through from the back side. Should just fit through there. And I'm going to work this around, and there is a slot down in here. So you're going to take that screwdriver you modified, tuck the wire in place. If you use a regular sharp flathead, good chance you'll cut that wire, so make sure you've rounded the edges off. The black wire to be on the outside with a spark plug wire. This way the spark plug wire doesn't allow the black wire to touch the motor when it gets hot, one, but two, the black wire should be over here. There's a couple spots you'll see where the wires go. Should be popped right into place. The yellow goes in the next one. Alright, and this is where we're at right now. We've got to, let's turn here so you guys can see. So you got the metal piece on the end of the yellow wire. And if you look at it from the side, it should just line up, pop right back in place here. Okay, wires are in place. Black wire goes through. It's tucked in the grooves. Alright. So that's that. So while we're on this side, we're going to grab those black plugs and pop those in place through them rubber grommets. Again, probably not a bad idea. Put a little grease on them. They'll go in easier and they'll probably come out a little easier later on. I didn't end up ordering a new one before the video is over. We destroyed that one trying to get it out, but again, I'll see if I can find some online and link them through Amazon. Everything we're doing here, guys, from the motor to a carburetor. Not sure I did in the last video, but we'll try to get a new recoil in case you need that. And different parts, we'll have a link down below in the description. You guys buy those parts through Amazon, and it helps support the channel. We've also moved the chain tensioner, which is usually here in the front. We bought a little kit, so it comes out the side. That's easy enough to install, pretty self-explanatory. This is a great, even if you don't have to do all this other stuff, this here is an amazing upgrade. Looking at this side, we're going to put our needle bearings on the shaft. We're going to grab our clutch drum and line it up with the pin that's sticking out. Could be any spot, but you look for this little pin sticking out just past the clutch. Line it up with the groove you see there. That needle runs the pump, the oil pump for your bar, so you're getting oil to your bar. Next, put that piece on. Then we grab our snap ring. This one's starting to get stretched out here a little bit. Usually grab a pair of pliers and just pop that snap ring on there. Gonna have to replace that one soon. Not a lot of tension there, but good enough for now. We're doing our brake assembly. You had this weird looking piece of metal you took off. So it really should, right? You look, it doesn't fit. Flip it. And set it in place. Give you guys kind of a close-up of that metal piece. It just sits in there. That's it. Just sits in there. Next up, we're grabbing this piece and our brake lever. There's a slot. Okay, there's a slot right here. Take this piece in your hand like that. Longer piece facing down. Put this through. The two holes, you should see them line up. You got two pins. One pin will go in this lower hole, the other will go in this hole up here. Work it around. Now, as you're trying to set this in place, that little piece of metal you already put in is going to prevent you from putting it down all the way. Grab a screwdriver and pry ever so slightly. Kind of pop everything down in. That's got to go on, though. If your saw's sitting like mine, it's got to hook up here. See that slot? Hook there. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. Try to fish that guy in there. So that's in place. Pull ever so slightly. Try to get this to seat in place here. Okay. So that's all in. Next thing I want to do is we had a black plastic spacer. I'm going to put that on the pin up here. Let's see if I can get you guys a better shot. Put that black spacer on this pin right here. Whoop, or drop it like I just did. Take this piece of linkage. So I'm going to put the slotted end on the plastic here first. Kind of slide it forward. Pop that on, and you should have that little tiny snap ring. That's got to go on. Okay. Next is going to be that spring. This is where, if you watch the assembly video, I had this bent nail and our vice grips. Take this bad boy, put it back in the vice grips. Take my spring, attach it to the spot up at the top. More of the spring area is back here, and we got to pull it back over this pin. I'm going to hold that spring in place, pop my nail out, a little bit of a twist. Everything is hooked up. Works. Now you got to be careful doing that, because like right here, this piece wanted to pop out. Okay. So this side's done. Recoil on, which means we got to pull these caps back out. So this saw came with an easy start. I don't necessarily think it was original to this saw, but I wanted to just put a regular pull start on here, so we swapped that out for an Amazon one. Work this guy in place, lift your brake lever ever so slightly to go over that knob. Make sure everything's seated down on. That top one is the screw that looks like it's got a little bit of a washer on it. I actually think the hole isn't drilled properly because this screw won't go in all the way. So I think I gotta grab a drill bit, drill that hole out. But 3 screws like these. I already put one up there. All right, I'm gonna grab a carburetor. But first we gotta grab that little plastic ring that hopefully it didn't break. It's got to go in the little spot here. The little piece should fit in the impulse area, and then the rest kind of goes around that black, inside the black seal. It should just sit right in there for you. I also want to grab our black lever here and our black wire, which has the brass piece. So with this, you've got a slot on the end, have the brass piece sticking out, pop the wire in, and then push the brass piece back. That's ready. That's ready. Don't forget your little choke rod. Let's grab our carb here. Haven't done anything with the carb. This should be on top facing you. This is where your throttle linkage goes. Choke lever goes, so hold it up there, right? Throttle linkage side, choke side. I'm gonna put my gas line on now. This carburetor only has one brass stem coming off it, so put the gas line on that. Slip this fella all the way back. That throttle linkage, reach up to where I just showed you that little piece was, right, to move the throttle. Hook my linkage in and make sure it seats all the way down. It'll kind of pop down in on that. If it doesn't, you'll try to go to use it and things just will not move and flow fluently for you. You're going to take that black rod and go underneath that throttle rod and just seat it in place over here just a little. You got to lift. I'm going to get you guys a little bit better shot here, sorry. Some of this can be a little technical sometimes. So this is where part of the rod has to snap in. It's like this. If it doesn't pop in easy, don't force it. You don't want to break it. It's just a piece of plastic. You break that piece of plastic, you have to replace the whole piece the motor sits in. This isn't, you know, just a small piece. So go under the throttle rod, get it to the hole here just a little bit. I squeeze the throttle rod so that goes past. And then we are attempting to pop this in place. Now you've got to kind of monkey around here. It's tough trying to do it with the camera, and so you guys can see. Hold the throttle down. I'm going to push that rod down so everything's out of the way. Lift this little metal piece a little bit. Pop everything in place, and you guys probably couldn't see anything because my hands are in the way. There you go. Pop that in all the way. There, now it's in. Make sure everything works. I'm gonna go half choke, release, all set. Awesome. I wanted to put the MS250 air box and air filter on this. I've got one here from Amazon. I'll have links to it down below if you guys want to do this little, consider it a little bit of an upgrade. There's a bunch of monkeying around though you got to do to make all this fit. So anyway, actually first we got to put that choke lever in. Sorry, there is a small hole in this black piece that has to slip into it, and then this little piece, fingers moving it, right? Lift this piece up. Hopefully I'll be able to get out of the way here, you guys can see. So I'm lifting this up. Take that rod, try to get that to fit, right? It doesn't look like it's going to fit very easily, so slide the carburetor forward just a little bit and pop that in place. Make sure everything is working. Okay, everything looks good. Off. Cool. Now let's grab that air box, MS250 air box with an air filter. This all kind of just came as a kit off Amazon. You end up getting gas lines and spark plugs. You'll have a bunch of extra gas lines and stuff. If you order a bunch of these things separately, you just will. So this will pop on here. Here guys, we got the air box on from the 250. Now this is a cover off of a 170, which when you buy Amazon parts, this is like a little bit newer model 170 than this recoil part, and so it doesn't quite match up. So what I've had to do first of all is I've had to kind of carve out some plastic here. So if you have your original one, you probably won't have to do that part. If you do this upgrade, you're gonna have to do the next part. You've got to pop out the black piece that's here, and then you're gonna have to order up an MS250 locking nut that usually comes on the 250 covers because it's a little bit different. Once you have that, I took the little tab off that's on here and rounded it over so it'll fit in here. Otherwise that tab prevents it from fitting. You can shape that however to just fit. Don't make it too small. You don't want it to fall in the hole. You want it to just fit. Just me farting around. I drilled a bunch of extra holes. Probably don't need to do that, but I did it anyway because I wanted to. Now on the inside, I took my Dremel And if you're looking at yours, you'll have like a wall in here and some extra plastic. You got to carve and cut all that away, grind it out so that this will fit over that 250 airbox. Now it is a little tricky sometimes getting it in place, but that 250 airbox will fit right in there once you do that. Then you take this guy, line her up, give her a twist. All right, that cover's on. I am gonna go grab a bar and chain to stick on this guy. We'll get that outside cover on, get the rest of this buttoned up, bar and chain on, we'll put some gas in it, get outside and see if this thing's gonna start. Woohoo! All right guys, so we got everything together. We're gonna get ready to fire this up for the very first time. If you're still here, make sure you give me a thumbs up, you hit subscribe, hit that bell, hit all, and turn on your YouTube notifications so you guys don't miss any future uploads. Pretty excited to see how this is gonna go. I am going to put 40-to-1 mix in this. All my steels I run 50-to-1. But I'm gonna do 40-to-1 just to have a little more oil in here for the first probably tank through this. We'll kind of see how it goes. I was doing a little research. Some guys are doing that. So we'll do that. We'll see how it runs. Worst case scenario, we're out 35, 40 bucks, right? In a bunch of time. All right, let's get some gas in it and let's head outside. Popped. Stalled. Let's see here, what's going on? This has a spark plug they provided with me, so provided me with purchasing the motor. Found a lot of those aftermarket ones don't work that great, so we'll see. Let's go back to half choke. Try it again. Alright guys, so at this point we know the saw will fire up. If I'm burping the throttle, it'll stay running. It won't idle on its own. So I'm going to make a part 3. I have 3 different carburetors set aside that I've already tried off camera. Only one of them actually works and makes this saw actually run pretty decent with that motor. So be sure to give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe, hit that bell, hit all, turn on YouTube notifications so you guys don't miss that upload. And hopefully I'll get that part 3 video out here really soon, and we can go over it and see how this saw runs and hopefully make a couple cuts. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Hopefully it's helped you do an engine swap, or it's, you know, just been a good piece of entertainment. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll see you later. Bye.